That's a call that the local people around here know. We call it the Sasquatch or the Yeti, or just the grunt. And all the old timers in the park kind of know that call. So if I'm way out in the backcountry skiing somewhere and I see a person come skiing down up above me, I'll let fly with that call. And if they stop and do it back, I know it's a good guy, somebody I know. And we'll join together out there. And if they don't, I'll just let them speed by.
This is CNN reporter Chris Morrow behind the camera at the Sequoia National Forest. I'm here with Yogi Bear. He's lived in Sequoia Park since 1987 and goes off the grid about 3 months out of the year. How are you doing?
I'm doing fine.
Why Sequoia?
Well, I found Sequoia when I first moved out to Southern California. I just happened to come up with someone that I had moved in with and fell in love with the place. Loved the rock, loved the trees. Eventually, through a long series of events, I ended up coming here to work one summer and never left.
What's your favorite part?
My favorite part of the park now is the high country. Way up high above 12,000 feet in the mountains. I've become kind of addicted to climbing the peaks, walking where there are no people at all.
Have you seen it all?
No, there's no way to see it all. No one could ever see it all in a lifetime. You could see all of the highlights, like these beautiful trees that we're sitting in now. You could sit at vista points and look at the really high peaks, but there's no way to crawl up every river drainage and every creek drainage, or even to bag every peak, maybe.
3 months out of the year, you go camping in a tent, and you actually hike about over 500 miles?
Some years, yeah. Some years I do less miles and more technical stuff. For the most part, I try and stay off the trails now, or I use the trails to get to points from which to leave them, so I can climb peaks or try to scramble over a ridge at a different place than maybe anyone that I know of, you know. But oftentimes it's 500 miles or more, yeah. Well, you can get an idea of how very red the wood is on the inside of the sequoias. I know that Redwood National Park got the name Redwood Park, and this one got sequoia, but in fact redwoods are a strain of sequoia, and they are substantially less red than the giant sequoias. And that's beautiful. It's kind of cool with the black fire. See how red that is? Especially right here where the black and the color meet. Really, really cool.
What are the main concerns when you're hiking in the sequoias?
Really, your priorities are pared all the way down to shelter, food, and water. There's no dangerous animals in the park. You know, our bears are fairly docile. There are mountain lions that are afraid of us and can outhear us, outsmell us, outsee us, and avoid us. Unless you do something that you shouldn't do, walk through an avalanche-prone area, cross dangerous water, climb up something that you can't down climb. There's really not much in the way of concerns. For people going out and hiking on trails, this is an extremely pleasant place after winter's over.
Do you use a GPS or a compass?
No, I just use a map. I've been here a long time now. I'll use a topo map maybe to look at routes to climb, but nothing else now. And I've never used a GPS.
And what do you eat?
I carry freeze-dried meals, good old peanut butter and jelly, and some bread product. I bring coffee. I can't live without that. And there are very few things, like a few different types of berries that I eat that grow here. But otherwise, I bring what I eat.
And when you make a campfire, do you use matches or a lighter?
Yeah, the answer is yes. It could be either one, but I definitely don't rub sticks together. And for the record, I rarely have a campfire. I bring a camp stove for cooking.
What do you do to stay connected when you're off the grid, or do you?
I bring a tiny little radio, and after dark on AM, I can get baseball games from all over the state of California, which I love. I used to carry a couple of novels every trip. Now that the Kindle has been invented, I love that. I can carry multiple books. But as far as staying connected, I really don't. You know, I discovered the whole O.J. Simpson low-speed chase something like 10 days after it had occurred. I was probably the only one in the nation that knew nothing about it until I got back from a trip.
What's your advice for anyone looking to go off the grid and go hiking in this area?
If you really want to go, go out for the summer like I do, or even for an extended backpacking trip, certainly you should research what to bring. You should know your route well. If you're going to go completely off trail, you really need to know the mountains. It's not for someone brand new. I'm not an expert, but I have years of experience, and I've been surrounded by people in this very remote place who have been guides and teachers for me. Best bet, if you're unfamiliar with backpacking, and especially off trail in a remote place like this, is really to find a guide or talk to someone extensively and get some knowledge before you go out. Now this is a good sized sequoia tree. We're going to see exactly how big it is with this tape. Here we go. We'll be gentle with the trunk. We're up to 30 feet, a little less than halfway around. $50 feet right there. Looks like we're going to come in at just over 77 feet. The General Sherman tree is more than 103 feet around. That would be the biggest. That's pretty big. This is a very friendly park for those of you who do backpack and who do go out. You need very little here. You don't need crampons and an ice axe unless you have something specific you want to do. You don't need to bring a gun, and in fact that's illegal. If there is a dangerous animal, it's just your fellow humans. I carry a knife. It's a Swiss Army knife. Nearly the only thing I use it for is to clip my nails or to cut moleskin to put on the heels of my, underneath my boots when I'm getting blisters, that kind of thing. As far as gear goes, there's not much you need here. It's about as friendly as it gets. In fact, it's even rare that we get rain, although we do get thunder showers occasionally. A tent is necessary, but you don't need a four-season tent to wander around here in the summertime, even up to 13,000 or 14,000 feet.
Do you feel lonely off the grid and in this small town?
Well, living in Sequoia, when I'm off the grid, that's just a few months in the summertime when the weather's good. I want to stay in the park year-round, so I live and work out in the park, which has a population in the winter of less than 100 people. And I've found over the years after living in Boston and in Los Angeles that cities are very lonely places. Small towns, everyone knows everyone. If my car breaks down in the park, all I have to do is stand outside. Someone I know is going to go by any time and pick me up. We do have, a nice hotel. You can get a decent meal. You can get someone to carry your bags for you. All those things are available here in our lodge for the guests, but it's definitely small town USA, maybe the way things were in most of the world, 50 years ago or in most of our country. But it still exists up here. It's a beautiful place, and you are never lonely. You have friends everywhere you turn. Basically know everyone who's here. Check that out. I love sequoia trees. They sound hollow, they're not. The bark is extremely thick, very, very soft to the touch, almost impervious to fire. You can see all the marks on them. I just love it. And the sound it gives, you'll hear that all over the giant forest. Pretty cool, huh? I love it. Well, this is my front yard. This is what we do for fun. We come out here and walk, take photos, cross-country ski, day hike. But I do have to make a living, and I need a roof over my head in the cold winter months. So I work up at the Waxahachie Lodge here in Sequoia National Park. I do a lot of different things depending on the year. This year I'm doing something real basic. I do bell work, help people with bags. I do a little bit of auditing. I do this kind of stuff sometimes. It's really a nice place to be. The lodge is tiny. You know, Yosemite Park can house thousands of people. We can house 100, we have 102 rooms. We can house maybe a few hundred people up here. So for the guests coming up, it's extremely secluded, extremely quiet. What you want is to come out here. I see Sequoia as a place where people can get completely away from the madness that goes on in everyday life. The rat race is completely gone. We do have TVs now. Those are only a few years old. We do have wireless internet, so you can stay in touch. But if you're looking for a place that's quiet, absolutely beautiful, and completely away from the craziness of everyday life, this is a beauty, that's for sure. This is home.